Pen pals, look who's on time. Have you seen the Supremes at Earl's All You Can Eat? Let's talk about it. Shannan Johnson, CEO of The Professional Pen, where we develop screenwriters from idea to pitch. Need help on your screenplay? Go to www.theprofessionalpen.com. So let's just start off with, this is adapted from a novel. I have not read the novel. I don't intend to read the novel. What I can say, just based on observation, is the film itself is told in vignettes, as in small parts of their lives that are interwoven together. So there is no step-by-step through line of an A story, step-by-step through line of a B story. I, again, have not read the book, so I don't know if the book is told in vignettes. If you've ever read The Color Purple, the actual novel, The Color Purple, it is told in vignettes as letters, right? So you just get these moments. They tie together thematically, they tie together because you're watching someone's life, but it isn't I must do A in order to get to B in order to get to C kind of thing. The same thing is true here. So without having read the book, it could be because there is so much information in the book that they decided that we just want to show you these different parts. So I say this to say that when you are adapting from a novel to a film, it's not always going to be one-to-one. You have to decide what's the best way to tell this story on screen, because on screen, it's a totally different medium. We don't tell stories the same way. Sure, act structure exists in plays and in creative writing, etc. However, stories are pushed by action on the screen. Stories are pushed by dialogue on the stage, and stories can be pushed simply by prose, by description in a novel, because they're building the entire world for your imagination. And in film, we don't have to do that because collaboratively, everybody else is going to build the world. So we don't have to do that on the page. So there might have been so much information that they decided these are the moments that the audience needs to get in order to understand the full story. So I really enjoyed it. It felt like, a nice warm piece of apple pie. Of course, all three of these actresses are everything. Side note, and so are the young actresses. These young actresses are doing their thing, honey. It is directed by Tina Mabry, who has done a lot of television that you have seen, like Queen Sugar. And it focuses on the love story of these three women, which is why they're called the Supremes. And their foundation is Earl, the man who owns the restaurant. So, small spoilers here. We're brought into the story because they are going to Earl's for a date. And then they meet their third friend along the way. And because she's having trouble at home, Earl provides her safety. He tends to do that for people who come through his life. He also does that later for one of the women's love interests. Now, what we can track in both storylines, which is the past from when they first meet each other and they're in their late teens, to the present where they are probably in their 40s, if not 50s, is that each of them is going through conflicts in love. One of them deals with a lot of grief. Another one is dealing with health issues. And the third is dealing with marital issues. And so they each have different representations of what love over time can look like in their husbands, in their partners, in their I wish you were my partner people. So it's great to kind of see how they compare and contrast to each other and how they are then there for each other to make it through. What we love about movies about girlfriends is that they hold each other accountable. They hold each other down. Each of them has a different personality. Now, again, this is based on a novel, but let's just put that to the side and act like it isn't. A lot of the times when we write films, we will give our characters friends just for the heck of them having friends. Right? But their friends really are playing one role with one voice. They aren't three-dimensional people. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they each have to have a storyline. It just depends on whether this is a story about this one protagonist or if there are multiple protagonists or an ensemble, etc. But what they do a really good job of here is each of their voices are very clear, which means if I was reading this on the page and not seeing them, I would know who is speaking. One of them is very square. One of them is the friend that's gonna ride, die, kick anybody's butt who comes into the place. And the other one is a little bit softer because she's been through a lot, but then also needing love and kind of signs up for things that she's not necessarily prepared for. So it's just great to watch this like character driven story, even though it's told in vignettes. Now, what I will say is, because it's told in vignettes, there are a few moments that I will spoil. So prepare yourself. Let me start this over. Let's see if I can do this without spoiling. Because it's told as vignettes, there are some moments that don't have as much impact, don't land as well to me. One of those moments is that we learn that one of the characters conspires with someone to kill someone else. But because we're not following these storylines in order, because we're jumping from one decade to the next, one storyline to the next, it kind of feels like it's just thrown in there. Therefore, there are no stakes in the moment. I don't know that she's been carrying this secret. So though it's a reveal to her friends, it's the kind of reveal that made me a little upset. Right? Because all I'm thinking is, just imagine how I would have watched this story differently if I had the information earlier. Even if I didn't know who she killed or why she killed. If I knew that she was hiding a secret in that way, how would I have seen her entire story different? How would she, as an actor, have played it differently if the point was the audience knows you're hiding a secret? We don't know what the secret is, but the people on screen don't know there's a secret at all. Just imagine. So that was one of the areas that I felt like, had this been a little bit more traditionally structured, I would have been able to really latch on to that moment and feel the stakes of that moment and feel the weight of this secret that she had been carrying all of this time. And the same thing is true about one of their love stories, that if it had not been so out of sight, out of mind, then I too may have felt the longing between them, which means I would have celebrated when they finally chose each other at the end. But instead, we're introduced to their love and then we just kind of don't talk about it anymore. And then suddenly it comes back and it's just like, oh, well, I know she really liked him, but she also seemed to really love her husband. So, I mean, I guess I'm rooting for them. You know what I mean? So, but I think that was because of the style, the style that they chose to tell the story in. I think it impacted those moments. But outside of that, I thought it was very enjoyable. Have you seen it? If so, what'd you think? Let me know in the comments. Happy writing.
The professional pen. The